family, and friends. I hope you're ready. It's been way too long since I've seen you last, and I've changed so much in the past few weeks. And you know who else has changed? Cliniko. That's right, I'm here to dive into changes, updates, news, and more in Cliniko this week. We have visual changes, behind the scene changes like faster loading times, updated info in exports, bug fixes to treatment notes, invoices, reports, navigation, and more. Like I said, I hope you're ready. That's right, folks. There are over 16 releases that I have for you. Let's start with the biggest change. This change was actually done behind the scenes. Over the weekend, Cliniko went into maintenance mode to address the slow speeds or 503 errors that some of you may have been experiencing over the past few weeks. During this time, our developers applied some database changes in hopes to prevent those occurrences from popping up again. We've also released some changes to how the appointments, invoices, and product page loads, which means loading and switching between these pages will become much faster. The next update is related to smaller screens. Depending on your screen size, with certain pop-ups like the ones on the appointments page, we now have those pop-ups larger and it will cover the entire screen. Here's what it looked like before, and here is an after. If you were experiencing a number of weird bugs or issues with the pop-ups in the past on a small screen or device, this should alleviate the majority of those. We've also adjusted the date pickers throughout Cliniko so that it's optimized for smaller screens as well as monitors with a wide width. Previously, some of the date pickers were hidden behind the Cliniko menu and you couldn't correctly select a date. That's been fixed. We've also changed the minimum amount required for automatic top-up for SMS credits, which this setting is accessible via settings, SMS settings. Previously, you could set the minimum amount to 0 SMS credits when automatically replenishing or topping up SMS credits when getting below a certain amount. This minimum amount has been changed to 50 SMS credits instead of 0. Within a patient's file, when a merge takes place, we will hide the other duplicate file and remove it from the patient list entirely. If you happen to go into that removed file, though, we now let you know that this patient has been merged, which you can then restore that file if needed, making the duplicate file active again, which means the file will also appear in the patient list. Now, one change that I know a lot of you will be excited for is the change to data exports, specifically the appointments, invoices, and invoice items exports. When displaying the invoice information, we would include the invoice ID. Now, invoice ID is actually completely different than the invoice number. Problem is, when you search by invoice ID within Cliniko, nothing would come up. So we've now changed the export to show invoice number instead of invoice ID. That way, it's easier to find the invoice within Cliniko. Speaking of making invoices easier to find, there was a problem with searching for invoices using their full invoice number. So the invoice number was 00123. If the search for the invoice number included those leading zeros, it didn't seem to return results. That is no longer the case. Another big release is a fix for treatment note PDFs. When exporting treatment notes into a PDF from a patient's file, there were a number of formatting issues that seemed to pop up for a few days. Our developers were able to find the source of the issue, and now those PDFs should be displayed correctly. Finally, we've had a number of bug fixes related to placeholders, invoices, patient numbers, and navigation. For placeholders, there was a weird quirk where the drop-down for the placeholders were cosplaying as a ghost and magically disappeared. Well, Comic-Con is now over, so those placeholders should now always be visible. With invoices, we fixed an issue where emailing invoices would give you an error page instead of a success message. The invoices were successful, but it appeared as if something went wrong. There was also an issue where an invoice was failing to save. Both of these have been squashed. For the last 3 bugs, when uploading a patient file, there would sometimes be a preview of the file visible on the page. And recently, when uploading a file, it would have no icon and would force you to download the file before opening it. There was also a problem with trying to open a page in a new tab using keyboard shortcuts, and it wouldn't work. These pesky and strange issues have also been resolved. And that wraps up the past few weeks in Cliniko. Woo! Thank you for taking this journey with me, and of course, I'll see you next time in Cliniko this week with more news, updates, changes, and more. Bye!